Welcome to Me Financial, the podcast designed to inspire your financial life. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the podcast. I am Michelle Moses, your host, and today it is just going to be me on the podcast. You're going to be just hearing my beautiful voice for the next few minutes. And I want to talk about this book that I have been reading because it basically says everything that I have come to believe with investing and personal finance over the years. It is the book No Worries by Jared Dillian, and he has a newsletter that he does weekly, and he basically writes for a living now. He used to be a trader, but I do read his newsletter, and he just came out with this book, and I wish I would have written it, honestly, because after all of these years of doing this, we're inundated with all these messages about money, and especially investments and stocks, and you need to be doing this, and what about real estate, and what about giving a loan to my cousin, and should I be doing this, all these things that you should be doing. Can I be renting clothes? Can I be buying clothes and reusing them? You could go with the list, right? And I'm just coming to the realization that it's just not that complicated, and we make it so very complicated. And in his book, the premise is basically that you keep your car payment low, you keep your house payment low, and you keep your student loans low. And if you get those three things right, and he has thresholds in there as a percentage of whatever your income is, but if you get those three things right, then you can have a stress-free way of living. And so the whole point of the book is to not think about money. Is how can you be stressless about money? And that's where I'm trying to go. And I don't know about where you guys are trying to go, but that's my goal in life, is that I don't want to worry about it. I hate, and I've said this in a couple of other episodes before, is I really do not like the term financial freedom, because I think, one, it's overused, and two, we often think of financial freedom as I'm just floating around and I'm able to spend money on whatever I want. And to me, financial freedom is being able to make decisions from a grounded place, a place where I feel good about it, where I know, yes, I want to give money to this charity and I have enough money to do it, and I feel fulfilled by doing that. Yes, I want to buy this car, and I know that it will fulfill me in some way and I will enjoy it, because money is there for us to enjoy life, right? And I realize that there are certain thresholds, and if you are not making that threshold, it is super duper stressful. Okay, I get that. That's not what this one is about. There are different thresholds, I think, or tiers of people in life and where you are in your earning years. And I am talking to the people that have the basics met, and you are striving for other things in life. You may want a new house. You may want a new car. You may want something to happen at work to make more money. And, all of that is fine and dandy, right? But what we're trying to go for here is where you're not stressed about money. And I really think, and it's so funny that this book came out, because just quite a few months ago, I was like, man, it's just really not that hard. If your house isn't that expensive and your car isn't that expensive, then, life is pretty good. It's pretty easy. And I have some clients, and they retired and sold their house, and they downsized majorly. And so they have no debt and all this cash in the bank. And it has really opened my eyes to what striving does to us, because now they have no worries. I mean, they are making enough off the interest in their checking account that they could just live on it. And, they're just living their life and doing whatever and checking things out. And their life is not driven by, I got to go make this money so that I can go pay my bills. I got to go make this money so I can do, whatever it is. They have set themselves up in a position to where now they have the money in the bank, and they obviously do not spend a ton, because if they were, they wouldn't be able to be living on the interest. But it has just opened my eyes to what it has done to them emotionally, of just being so calm about money and being able to just make decisions on what do they really want to do. And they like having the money in the bank because they realize what the freedom that it gives them of the choices. So I realize we're not all in that. I mean, they are older, and we are not all in that position to just have that much savings sitting there. But it does bring it back to, if you aren't spending a lot on a car, and if you aren't spending a lot on a house, and you don't have a lot of student loans, then the chances of you being able to save more for retirement and to save more in your short-term savings so that you do feel better are higher. And it's just with these certain little decisions in your life. And so, and then he goes on to talk about, which I find really, really interesting too. I had never thought about it like this, is that the people that are super cheap, we'll call them frugal, and the ones he's saying, clipping the stamps, not tipping when they go get their haircut, or tipping not very much, not wanting to go out to eat, driving a car until, the smoke is coming out the back. And I thought this was good too, not wanting to pay for their child's education because they didn't have anybody to pay for their child's education. So we often hold these people up like on a pedestal, because in personal finance, you see it all the time, right? That people like, The Millionaire Next Door, and all of these really popular books about being cheap and just having all this money in the bank. But the argument is that they're letting money rule every single decision in their life. And I could not agree more, because you're not enjoying any of it. I mean, you're not going to be able to die and take all of this with you. You are having this money to have an experience. And so there's definitely a balance that goes with this, right? You're not going to want to be jumping all around and just like throwing money all over the place and spending God knows what on who knows what, but you don't want to be totally ruled by money in the sense that you don't want to spend it at all, because no one's going to enjoy going out to eat with you. No one is going to want to serve you because you don't tip well. And, I don't think you're setting your kids up, like, even if you have the money and then you don't pay for college. I mean, I could see like having them take loans and then maybe paying it off later, so that they can actually see what they would pay for, or what they, how much it is. But putting them intentionally in a hole just because you're a miser, I don't think is a great way to live life. That's also a very stressful way. And in the book, he also talks about the other side are the people that only want the best, and they've got the best car, and they, and then there's another book that's very popular where it's like, get tons of debt, buy these passive, buy a laundromat and some rental homes, and just live day to day and you'll be fine. That is also being ruled by money, because you want the best in life. You're spending every dollar that you have, but you're also fueled every day because you have all of these debt payments to make. And there's obviously what I'm talking about is that you want to be in between. And that's what I'm just, after all these years, discovering. And I know I kind of feel stupid saying that, just because I've been studying this for so long, and you go into all these classes learning about annuities and learning about how the stock market works. And I just, I don't think the stock market should be that complicated. And in the book, he does talk about, he has a portfolio that he talks about in there. And I say, I got to agree with him. I don't agree with every single thing in this book, but I would say 75 to 80% of it is what I agree with. And people often ask me, what's a personal finance book that you would recommend? And I would say this book by Jared Dillian is one that I would absolutely recommend. And I wish I would have written it. And I'm probably going to buy 20 copies and be giving it to people. It's a quick read. He's a really great He's a really great writer. And I agree with it, that we just don't need to make it that stressful. And so if you are just like, I just don't understand the stock market, you don't need to understand the stock market. Like, you just don't. Just put some money in, keep your debt low, and then start saving into an emergency fund. And I think where we all get hung up is that we want to take vacations and do all these other things. I'm going to have another podcast about trying to keep positive about all of those things. But this is just specifically about keeping it simple. And I really think that you can keep it simple and not worry about money and not even think about it. I mean, once you start to get some savings, then, people will email you and say, hey, can you donate to my kids' fundraiser? Yeah, no problem. And I mean, some of that does come with, you need to have an earning capability. And if you aren't earning enough, and, there's people that decide, I mean, if you're working in a nonprofit, if you're a teacher, I mean, you're kind of deciding to put a cap on your income. And I got to say, hats off to all of you. And I don't think that that's a bad thing. But if you're wanting to earn more, then you're going to have to do something else. And if you're in a job where you're not earning a lot, you're going to have to do something else to where you can earn more. And I've done other episodes where people, which I hadn't done, but this guy went and drove for an Uber so that he could go do like sports car racing at once a month. And that's how he earned the money to go do that. So there are extra things that you can do, but you've got to have the earning potential. But the idea is that all these things come together so that you're not worried about money. And that's kind of what I'm here to say, is that if you could get to the point where you aren't worried about money and that you're just not thinking about it, what a great place to be. And so I just hope that this inspires you to just think about it and maybe pick up the book. Talk to me about it. I would love to hear what you think after you read it. The one part of it that I didn't necessarily agree with is he doesn't really like credit cards. And I think we just come from a different standpoint. Jared comes from, he was really poor growing up, and I came from a middle class family. And I really like the credit card points. And so I will always put things on credit cards and then pay them off. And I am always looking on how can I put more things on credit cards and then pay it off. Cause I'm getting really into travel hacking and how to book flights and all that sort of thing. So that part of it, I didn't necessarily agree with. There's certain things that I think that I guess you could look at it in a different way. But the overall premise of the book of just not having any stress about money, I thought was really great. So pick it up. I mean, it's on Amazon. I did the Kindle, you can buy it wherever, and look them up online. And I mean, I think the premise of it is just, it just doesn't have to be so stressful. And I think our marketing makes it just like two extremes of either being the miser or just spend, and just have all of this debt and invest in all this real estate or, laundromats. And I think you need to be in between. And that's just a really boring message, and people don't want to hear it. Right. And I'm here to tell you that the boring message is where you're going to find a stress-free financial life. So let me know if you have any questions. I hope that this inspired you a little bit, and thank you so much for listening. I really appreciate all of you.